this into the budget, and next year, certainly, all things being equal with summer camp and teen camp and our swim program and Funergy, clearly it's going to take a program expense in the neighborhood of $125,000 to do it, and clearly our revenues are going to be 150, 170. Now, we're asking for 20 because we're making an assumption that we're going to have 30 people register for our summer program before July 1. At $600 a whack, that's $18,000. I'm guessing. We had 90 people in the program last year. We might only have 20 people register by July 1 and pay in advance, and 70 more be on payment plans that extend into July. This is another problem with this budget, and the problem that I have with this department. I'm guessing too much. It's much too difficult. Although over the span of 11 years in doing this, I've never stood here like this and had to look at you all and go, here's what happened. I think 11 out of 12 is a phenomenal batting average. And I think the strength of recreation in this town cannot be denied. I've read all 3 of those visioning studies. All 3 of them. I haven't attended one. I feel like I shouldn't. I don't need to plant the seed of recreation. I walk in and people think recreation. I haven't been there. All I see on those comments are, I love the recreational aspect. Every other paragraph on all 3 of those visioning sessions speaks to how important recreation is. Snowmobiling, ATVing, lakefront. I'm reading stuff about the swimming area down at Little Ossipee. A lot of that stuff has to do with what I have to manage. And we're talking about a department of 1. I might have 20 employees on the books in the summer. 1 guy manages them all. Again, to me, 11 out of 12, we're doing pretty good. It may happen that if we take in an additional 30 upfront payments, that $20,000 we're asking from surplus will not be necessary. However, in order to go forward and to keep the department open and to cut the grass out here and to cut the grass at Friendship Park and to turn the well on and to have boat launch attendance in as short a time as 3 or 4 weeks, we need to ask the voters at a special town meeting to allow us to do 2 things. 1, take in $30,000 more than we said we were going to and spend it at the same time. Again.
Explain this to me. The amount raised from taxation last year was $46,729.
Yes, it was.
That's what the tax burden was asked of the taxpayers.
Yeah, it's like $11 a house.
Yeah. The remaining monies to operate Parks and Rec was based on estimates of the amount of monies that you believed you would receive during the course of the year.
Yes. 121 was my guess.
Okay, so where would we be right now if you only raised $50,000 for that?
We'd be in deep trouble. Although if I had only raised 50,
but you would not have.
Exactly.
You would not have spent the 121.
Right, because my Funergy staff would only require 1 or 2 people a week. Right now, we're spending about $1,200 to $1,400 on payroll. If I only had 6 or 8 kids in camp, well, first of all, I know that the program was failing. You know, I'd be looking at this going, man, we've been doing this for 30 weeks. I only got 6 kids here. We're going to cancel it at the end of the year. But let's just say that we kept it going all that time. My program expense would be far less because I wouldn't have to have the staff on hand necessarily to fund it. But once we maxed out at 30 kids a day, and we're looking at a dedicated bus stop next year from SAD 57 is going to be providing us with our own bus stop. That's going to reduce the burden on our staff, lower the staff cost, lower the gas costs on our van, and help us with safety issues too. I feel like we've got a real winner here. Now, you asked what would have happened if, well, we assumed 120 for a 12-month stretch, and basically we're ahead of the game because at this point in the year, we should have only taken in what, 2/3 of it? We're 2/3 of the way through the year? Or we're what, 3/4 of the way through the year? Which one?
We're almost 3/4.
We're almost 3/4, so 3/4 would be 90. So to my thinking, we're $12,000 ahead, because we're at 102 right now. If you based it truly on, Mike's gonna take in $30,000 a quarter, 30, 60, 90, 120. So we're done with 3/4, 30, 60, 90. But we're at 102. And actually, I think we're probably at 105. I think there was a large deposit that went in today that is not on there yet. In any event, we're above where we should be revenue-wise, and as a result of that, because our revenues are directly correspondent to expenses, our expenses are above where they need to be.
That's why I said right from the start that the way that this is budgeted, it's certainly fuzzy budgeting in the accounting practices. Something's got to be set up differently.
We've had many changes too over the 11 years that I've done this. We used to just go in and we would ask for a specific amount from taxation. And then we decided 3 or 4 years ago, I don't think it was more than that we were going to add the revenues into that. Then the problems began, because I'm guessing. As I said, we went like this. We started at $46,000 in revenues in 2001. We went wham, and then we went straight across 90, 95, 100, 100, 100. I really had no reason to believe that anything would go off that until the planet went crazy and we were at 10% unemployment. Gas was incredibly high. People were really locking down. We had many more needs of people that needed scholarships, and I can't pay, what can I do, can you help me, that sort of thing. And then you wake up and all of a sudden we only did $86,000 that year. We fast forward 1 year and wham, here we go again, we're up to 150. It's incredibly difficult, Gordon. However,
I know when we talked, there was some rollover money, that was $32,000 that generally from Parks and Rec that would roll over into the following year.
yeah, every year we did that as well, up to 2 years ago.
But because of the budget shortfalls, that was cut.
Yes.
And that's what put Parks and Rec $32,000 in the hole to start off with?
Yeah.
And that's your estimate. Oh, right.
The only way
Madam
we're gonna
Chairman.
get around this is for the budget July 1st, is go in what you actually need to run that budget.
But
Run
you-
that department, not like this.
You
And-
have to back that program expense number out, in my opinion, and budget
And
whatever.
not base it on, this is what I anticipate.
Budget this column. Budget this column.
Take it all out of
You got to,
taxation.
and then let revenue do what it does.
Fund it
Because,
all.
let recreation do what it does. Recreation is going to, on a bad year, again, all of a sudden we go into a double-dip recession here, but I don't see how I don't see how Funergy can't work. Those children have to go to school, and they have to come to us as a result.
All right, so to stop beating a dead horse, you've spent,
170.
173,909 and change.
and you think you're going to spend what prior to the end of the year? If everything goes as is.
I've answered that question 32 times today. What? I don't know, 60? What did we say, 50? 48-1?
You said 60.
Well, we looked at numbers today, and it was like 50 and 50. I'm gonna take in 50, and I'm gonna spend 50. That's what I'm looking at, basically. But incidentals pop up, and if I screw up or something goes wrong, we had a $400 electric bill next door 3 weeks ago. I had to pay for that. The smoke alarms were going off every 4 minutes. We had a wiring issue. It wasn't budgeted for. Guess who ate it? I've had to call the burner guy 3 times in the last 5 weeks. It wasn't budgeted for. Guess who ate it?
Now,
I'm
is this-
trying to
this-
provide a little cushion from surplus here.
This was thrown at you a few months ago, right?
Willis.
There's oil and electricity bills.
What do you
When did you start paying a share of the, have you always paid a share of the oil and stuff?
We have, I don't recall,
I think
if you look at the previous year on, if you look at the previous year on electricity, right on page 8, right in front of you, previous year electricity was $950.
Which was what was budgeted.
Right. Previous year, $950, so I went ahead and I budgeted $950 this year. Where are we at so far year to date?
Last year you spent $1,600.
Right.
Well, I don't know why the town warrant says $950.
Because that's what it said, what was budgeted the year before, not what was
Oh.
That's
spent.
amount requested.
Okay, so that's on me.
But didn't the, because of the increase in
The
fuel
building-
costs this
right,
year,
The building's
the
getting used
building,
more.
his bill went up also,
Yes,
more so than what was budgeted for.
yes.
I mean, he didn't foresee that.
I did not, I did not.
Couple things. It seems to me that you ought to be able to budget what your expenditures are gonna be. You know where your staff, who your staff are, you know what the cost is there. We know basically what electricity costs are. We know what fuel costs are going down. And that's something we ought to look into too, is to get on the plan so that we know what our fuel costs are gonna be in advance. But that aside, you as a recreation director should know exactly what you can spend to keep this program going over the next 3 months. It's all there. There's, I mean, the incidentals, I don't know where the incidentals are. I think we just basically don't do the incidentals, you know? So you you pay your staff, you don't buy anything new, you just keep it going at a minimal level.
I'd like to.
To
and
get through the
that's-
next 3 months.
That's the idea, certainly.
Okay,
However,
so
we've
so
got,
you can budget that and be pretty doggone sure of what you're gonna spend. You're not sure what you're taking in, but you can be darn sure about what you spend.
yeah, I agree.
Based on where you are now, what you're saying you're gonna spend, and what you're saying you're gonna take in for revenues,
Yeah,
I see that instead of $20,000, you need $4,100.
4,100?
If you said you're gonna spend 50 between now and the end of the year, you're already 6,000 over
Right.
for the year. You said you're gonna spend 50,
Yeah.
and that makes a difference of about $4,000 as opposed to $20,000. You're saying you're gonna spend 50, you're gonna take in,
Right, but if you're trying to balance this, if you're trying to balance Parks and Rec for fiscal year 2010 and 11 with this warrant article, this special, it's gonna take more than that. Because we asked the voters to go up to 168. If we're gonna go to 230, and I'm only gonna be able to come up with 150 in revenues, that's $80,000. We only got 47,000 out of taxation. That means I'm $23,000 short. You wanna balance this department, I think Nancy and I have the numbers right. If you wanna get us through the rest of the year without spending any more, then you're probably right, it's more like $4,000 or $5,000. I cannot come back in this room again in May or late June and go, I gotta close down for 3 months, no one can sign up. If I have to close summer rec registrations in June, we're gonna be really short, because that's when all the money's gonna come in. That last week of June, oh, I gotta sign my kid up for summer camp. Okay, give me $600, please, you're all set. In addition to that, we have bus rental that I have to pay for in this fiscal year, and we're gonna use the buses next year as well.
Which was what, 1,800?
It is $1,800 deposit it requires, the balance of that will be paid, and that's a bargain, really. I mean, we spent $12,000 4 years ago on buses from the school. We really clamped down last year. I've already eliminated a couple of field trips. John's gonna help me out with something that's not gonna cost me any money, but it's gonna exhaust all of us, make us walk all over the district. So, the future is bright for recreation. $20,000 out of surplus
Suits maybe.
seems high. I'm pretty confident that you're gonna get a lot of it back, because we're having and expect to have a very good summer. But I think you gotta let those revenues come in. Let those registrations come in and see where the payment plans wind up. if we get a top-heavy payment plan here where people need to pay me in July and August, July and August's revenues are going to be much higher than they normally are, but June's are going to be lower.
Tina, you had a question?
I did. Mike had mentioned that, well, when Gordon asked the question about if your revenues were much lower than they are now, where would your expenses be? And he said, well, obviously it'd be lower. But last year it wasn't. His revenues, he only collected 75% of his revenues, and he spent almost $18,000 more than the budget. He had a budget of 167, he spent almost 185.
That was because we didn't carry forward our fees in June.
Well, it's a good thing, because you were in the negative.
Well,
The
if we
year
had it,
before.
well, 3 years ago? Is this
Yeah.
3 years back?
Yeah, you've
No,
been in
that's-
the negative for revenues for years.
This is the year that ended 6/29/2010.
Yes.
So all the fees that came in April and May and June of that year would normally be applied to my program for that year.
But that was in the
Well,
negative. You
well,
had negative
right.
revenues
Well-
that year too.
Well, what happened is we assumed that we were gonna make the same amount of revenues, and we didn't. We took a $24,000 hit. In addition to that, we lost $23,000 at town meeting. That's $46,000. How much short are we? 23? So recreation made up half of it.
All right.
I
So-
guess my point being, Tammy, is that the revenues were low and he was still overspent. The budget was still overspent. So the response you got, I don't think was a fair response. Because your question was, if your revenues are down, your expenses should be down. And he agreed, of course it should be, but it wasn't last year.
Well, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, in FY '09 was the first year that we did not roll anything over, okay? We had a spend budget of 189, and we had a revenue budget of $100,000. We were $10,000, $13,000, well, $10,000, $89,000 in taxation, all right? So we were,
Wait a minute, whoa.
we had 80,
No,
and
no,
and
no,
3
no.
years ago, we had $89,000 in taxation. The rest was in fees.
Parks and Rec?
Yes. And we budgeted $189,000 to spend. Right? 89,000 in taxes, 100,000 coming in from revenues.
I don't believe that.
Well, I'm telling you, that's what the numbers are,
Hand me the warrant.
okay?
Hand me the warrant. It's
And
not
that's,
right.
that's what we had in the budget.
There's no way we appropriated 89,000 from taxation for Parks and Rec in
Three-
the last 10 years.
Well,
What? I don't believe that. $89,000 from taxation plus 100 grand.
yes.
So then we turned around the next year and we went down to 46. Is that what we did?
No, we didn't.
2 years.
We
What did
went
we go down to?
We went down to 56.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And, well, wait a minute.
Okay.
And we budgeted 111 in revenues,
And we took an 84.
all right? And you took in 87,
Close.
okay? And you budgeted 167 and spent 190.
This
Yeah.
year?
That was
Last
last
year.
year. Now, we haven't gone through the audit and all that good stuff. And I'm not sure what should have been, could have been, or whatever rolled. But the fact of the matter is that this is the third year that we have not had revenues roll over, okay? We ought to be getting, like, used to this. Instead, we continue to throw it up as kind of, you know, hey, this is the real reason, all right?
It is. It's difficult.
I think.
We're making an assumption 12 months in advance on what's going to
I
happen.
don't disagree, that we're projecting out what we're gonna do 12 months in advance, 18 months in advance, if you wanna look at June of 2012, when this thing closes, right? But the fact of the matter is that we will know on June 10th or whatever it is this year, what you're gonna have to spend, period.
Okay. Let it be
Right.
nothing to do with recreation. Just appropriate the right column.
Well, however-
It can't go wrong, right?
However it shakes out, the voters will act, okay? And we know on that day, Mike, this is your budget, all right? So if you can't,
Don't show up in March saying, Dennis, I
that's the bottom line.
understood.
And I think that's where we are now, is I'd like to get this right before we go into this year, all right? The reason we're talking about a special is because, you know, there's only so much, and we do have, by charter, we can certainly balance out funds from one department to the other. as a Board of Selectmen within 90 days of town meeting. We're not choosing to do that. We're saying, hey, we're gonna take this to the people. And if it's 68,000, then it's 68,000. There ain't a dime more, and when you hit the 68, guess what happens over the other way?
I
The
understand.
lights go off.
I
Yeah, he's been
understand.
told that.
I've been told that many, many times lately. I understand. I'm glad you repeated it,
And it
however.
may very well,
Nobody wants to do this less than me.
and it may very well, when we have the special, it may mean,
Still be
So
lights
be
out.
it.
right?
This is
So
the
be
third
it.
year in a row.
So anyways, now, are there any other questions from the board?
I guess on this point I was trying to make, besides the one that Tina pointed out, was that if you didn't make the 121 in revenues, according to the town meeting, the way this article is written, you could still spend 121, because
No,
that's
I
what the
could have still
voters said.
spent
that's what-
167.
Yeah, and that's what the voters said you could do.
Right.
Even though you didn't bring in the projected revenue. So
guess.
you'd be in the hole.
That's what
Either way.
happened last year. It cost us almost $46,000.
It should have cost 90, but recreation saved you $34,000 because it makes money. You're not gonna make any money on porta potties. You're not gonna make any money when I'm riding the lawnmower.
But we budget.
You're not gonna
How do-
make any money.
So I think we're at
You
a point
budgeted
where,
for it, John, though. You budgeted for it.
That's right.
And
That's
you-
our
look,
budget.
John, you budgeted for it, but what's the column total up to? It totals $88,000, and you appropriated 46. Yeah, I like the silence. I like the silence. That's
All
good.
right.
Are we done now?
yes.
Thank you. Good.
Yes.
So the board now we need to decide what we want to do with Article 2. If we want to go with what Nancy has put together here, do we want to tweak this? What's the board want to do?
I think the 48, we need to, I think we need to have that in there, because that's certainly what the budget's gonna be over unless you close everything down. And then the 20,000 just gives us the leeway. It says we can spend up to, and it will be our intention to spend considerably less, to transfer considerably less than that out of surplus. But it gives us, I think, gives us leeway there. But, hopefully we only transfer 5,000 out of surplus. Because that's what, that surplus is what we want to bring forward into next year's budget. So we're reducing it here. So I would move that we accept Article 2 as proposed.
Can you read that?
To see if the town will vote to appropriate $48,100 from Parks and Rec fees and up to $20,000 from surplus for Waterboro Parks and Recreation for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2011.
Now, what if he doesn't get the $48,100 in fees? Clearly, he hasn't collected his revenues for the last, 2 years that I got in front of me. I can't prove any more than that. But clearly, the last 2 years.
If you look at Tina, if you look at the run rate, he's at 142. He's saying he's gonna do 151.
Yeah, well, he
Right.
said he was gonna do 111 last year, and he did. Obviously, he's doing much better this
Right.
year with the Funergy.
Right, and I
But
think,
he's
I
been
think
planning that for
he's
2 years.
he's at least got that, there's a higher level of confidence on, I think the 142 or 145 is probably a very high level of confidence. Whether we get to 151, I guess, is another question, but I think we need to make sure that we do not expend anything beyond those revenues, if that's in fact what we're gonna do. The surplus really has to go to the other issues of what's costing Parks and Rec money. That's maintenance and all those kinds of issues. And let I guess what I'd like to look at, he's got 110 that he's spent now in program expenses. He's collected 101. Not too far out of sync, okay?
And he's justifying part of that as the loss at the beginning of the Finergy
Understand,
program.
right, so if you look at his program expenses versus his program revenue, they're within $9,000 of one another, right now, year to
But
date.
that doesn't count salaries, that's just the
No,
expenses.
no, that's all the program expenses, which includes the salary of those people that are running those programs.
Not
No.
his.
Not his,
Not
I would
his.
agree, all right? So what he said is there's $80,000 of cost baked into Parks and Rec's budget, okay? For Mike, for mowing, for the boat launch attendance, for all of those kinds of things, right? There's 80,000 that was baked in there when we stepped into town meeting. We said we'll cover 46,000 of that with taxation, rest is gonna come from revenues, right?
Mhm.
But when you look at what he's projected for, what he said he would do in program revenues, or it's what his costs are for programs versus what his revenues are for programs, they're pretty close. They're within $9,000 of one another, right? What it's not saying is, oh, and by the way, we were supposed to have all these other revenues that were gonna cover all of these things that were gonna happen whether you ran one program or you ran no programs, right? We gotta take care of the fields, we gotta take care of, and we've had the discussion, why does Tailhouse come out of this budget and, those kind of things. But that's neither here nor there. I think and I think if he has high confidence that that's, the program expenditures are gonna be this, program revenues are gonna be that, okay, then I think we have to look at, all right, if he can cover 35, or part of the 35 with revenues that came in above and beyond what program expenses were, which really will be the June revenues for the summer camps that are gonna be next year, all right? Then the real question is how do we make up the balance of that, and that really is where the surplus comes in.
So if you've got that much faith in his projection of collecting $48,000 in additional revenues through the end of the year, why not word the article that he's got that 48,000 extra? Why does he?
Because that's what it says. It says $48,000 from Parks and Recreation fees.
And 20,000 from surplus.
And 20,000 from surplus. The 20,000 from surplus will go to supplement those maintenance items or those operational items of the Parks and Rec. Not program fees, but operational. I mean, it's all one budget, let's face it. So, what all I'm saying is somewhere along the line, there was an expectation coming out of town meeting that we were gonna cover $35,000, $34,000 and change, okay, of the operation of Parks and, operational cost of Parks and Rec with fees. Right? So, what we're saying now is that, that's, I guess, going into this budget season, we need to really seriously look at that. That we don't have those additional fees coming in to cover the whole $35,000, all right? And I think we've got everything but potentially $20,000, which is what we're saying ultimately the surplus is needed in.
So what Tina is saying, I think though, is why not state the 20,000 is gonna be for operational?
Well, because we don't line item budget. I mean, ultimately, it goes into the operation of Parks and Rec. Not sure you can say, well, we're only gonna use $20,000 in surplus to mow the lawns.
But it's also up to, if he only
Right.
uses 5,000, it will only be 5,000. There's a cap on it. He can't go over the $20,000.
The way that it's worded is line share is gonna come from fees collected. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not running around with a flag saying, let's go spend $68,000. The fact of the matter is that we need to at least resolve where we are with it once and for all. And then as we hit next fiscal year, we need to say, this is what the budget is, and if the voters say you only get this much, that's it, right?
Yep.
And there are programs that are gonna get cut, or there are things that aren't gonna get done. It's as simple as that.
Do you think we should, and this is not dealing with this, but we're dealing with this tomorrow night, that we should separate recreation from parks? and basically have parks, the operational part of the budget, and recreation with, under the same director, but a separate line item for parks and
There's all,
recreation.
I guess there's a number of ways you can deal with it from a budgetary perspective, but bottom line, Parks and Rec has an operational budget, and they've got a budget that is variable, and it should be variable. And here's the services that we're offering, or the programs that we're offering, and the program fees have to accommodate those programs, right? And that is a variable budget. If he's doing great, then the budget goes up. If he's doing bad, then the budget goes down. But the bottom line is that you gotta strike some line in the sand and say, this is what we think it's gonna be, best educational guess, educated guess. But the operational piece of it is gonna be there whether you run anything or not.
True.
Unless you say, we're gonna go out
But I mean, this is
unless we're
maybe a
gonna shut
discussion
down the
for
Parks and
tomorrow
Rec
night,
department completely.
but maybe the operational part, which is primarily the park side, but you say, okay, we're gonna try to manage the recreation side with fees, and the park side is gonna be taxpayer-based. But, you know, anyway, that's maybe tomorrow night.
So, John made the motion to do this article as written. Was there a second to that?
I'll second it for the purpose of discussion.
Any discussion?
I agree with Dennis. There's some of the things that we have to look at probably tomorrow night in the funding formula for the Parks and Rec Department. Now, it seems to me, looking through this, that we're asking Parks and Rec to actually fund some items that aren't Parks and Rec related. For example, when the Girl Scouts use next door, they're using electricity and they're using heat, but they don't pay to use that, because that's a service that the town provides, but we're placing the burden of paying the expense for that operation on those other ones. That's just one minor example.
Well, not,
But
no,
before we
because
did
some of
that, it was
comes out
going,
of-
it doesn't make any difference whether it comes out of Parks and Rec, comes out of general government.
But we charge
No,
the
it
Girl
doesn't.
Scouts.
Well, when we're talking his budget and that,
The only way then you're gonna do that is to absolutely put that whole building under Parks and Rec and not be used for
or put it
anything
on
else.
the- I'm
some of
just
that
saying that we
comes out of
have to
general
look at the
government.
funding formula. How it comes
Okay.
out in the wash, I mean, I don't know,
So
but
that's for tomorrow night.
but
Let's
that's for
get through
tomorrow
tonight.
I agree, I think you gotta move on with,
Let's get through tonight. So is there any other discussion related to this warrant?
Yes, may I? What's
No.
going on tomorrow night, please?
the budget.
We're having a
Next.
budget workshop tomorrow
Okay,
night.
thank you.
So we've had a motion, we've had discussion. All those in favor of the article as written? All those opposed? So it'll be a majority of the selectmen recommend.
Article
Article 3, Nancy, you want to go through this one? We're done that article, we're moving
No,
on.
this has nothing, this is just a generic question. Now, the vote that you just made, are you recommending that the voters approve it, or are you recommending just the way it's written,
It's Board of Selectmen recommends
to pass?
Yep.
Okay,
Majority.
majority.
okay, all right.
Okay, Article 3, Nancy, you want to go through this one?
This one is to appropriate $52,838 from surplus to the CIP program for the road upgrade for the repairs on Oak Lane, Hemlock, and Old Alfred Road that were completed this year.
Okay, when that was done, and that 52,000, whatever was taken from the CIP account, what was the agreement or intention of replacing that money, or wasn't there any?
It was, the road review committee came in and said that they would agree to spend $40,000 out of their CIP project to go into Hemlock and Oak. And then Fred was going to pick the rest of it up in his budget.
okay, so
So,
why do we have
So-
a problem?
Yeah, some of that was, if I recall correctly, some of that funds was supposed to come out of the monies that we'd set aside for ditching. But
Right.
because,
Yeah,
That's how you remember it?
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I'm
I
with Dennis.
don't understand this article.
And I was also of the opinion that we were gonna potentially have some funds reimbursed from FEMA. There was discussion of that.
That wasn't for
No,
that area.
not for that.
That's for the
Right.
bridge on,
Yeah, for the bridge,
All right, so why do we need to make up $57,000 or $52,000?
52.
All right, what you can do then, if you want to do it that way, is, oops, sorry. Wrong page.
60,000 on Article 23, right?
It was 60,000 and it was spent 80,149. So our CIP upgrade road is 20,149 in the hole, basically. Actually,
Well, this,
Now, is that because some of those bills, if I recall right, weren't coded properly? Because some of them were supposed to come out of CIP and some of them were supposed to come out of the road budget.
I think they came out of both because roads, I'm gonna have to go back and review all this. I wish you'd contacted me before tonight so that I could have done this.
So if we're looking at a CIP project, 9201, 457030, upgrade of the road, there was $60,000 budgeted. We spent $80,142. So the question I guess I have is that it all get evidently pegged to that account, 7030.
And
which came out of excise for additional road ditching.
Right, which was a ditching account.
Yeah.
if you go into,
And if I look at Public Works,
Because he has,
Looking at Article 23, the 60,000.
town roads is, wherever
Roads
his
and
ditching
main-
come from is also overdrawn too.
okay, so roads and repairs and maintenance is 16,997 in the red, right? That's his road account of 86 grand, plus some miscellaneous stuff, right?
Mhm.
So, to me, and I know this is not popular, but, and I would love to see the stuff put somewhere else, because you get 77,000 left in the paving account. I think this article says we move it from the paving account to this account, end of story.
Absolutely.
And we don't need a special town meeting to do that.
Nope.
And that's the end of the deal. Doesn't do any paving this year, the money covers the job on him.
What account is that, Dennis?
Let me,
I'm not following you on that one, the paving account.
Paving count is under contract services under the roads and bridges.
Which section are you looking at? Blue section?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Julie's most recent report dated 3/18,
under
Under lavender or?
Parks and Rec,
under the
Parks
blue,
and Rec.
Under blue?
Under Public Works,
under
on
public works.
5230 Hot Top, there's 74,000.
77,609 is what this shows, but,
That's salt and sand.
yeah, I'm sorry. The hot top is 70, yeah. It's 75,000, we've spent 990
Yep,
bucks out
there's
of it.
74,000
So
left in hot top.
74,000 left. On page 8 of Julie's dark blue report, expenses only,
There we go. Oh, I see, we've only spent 1,000.
yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. He's only spent 40% of that budget. Oh, that one.
I mean, usually, that's when you do your
Either that or you
your
take,
paving, but
either that
but-
or we take the money out of, the 51,000 out of the sand and salt that's left.
you know, or
Well, they got 100
we just say, it comes out from, half of it comes out of paving, half of it comes out of sand and salt.
When you're saying it's all, you've got outstanding bills in there, so I'm not sure.
Well, the bottom line is,
What's
I
left?
think,
Well,
Spent 40% of it.
I don't think we, well, we'll take a vote, I'm sure, but I don't think we need to.
Look at this one.
So you want to remove that article
Article
altogether?
three.
Control.
So is that a motion, Dennis, to remove that article?
Yes.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
All
Okay.
those in favor? That one's gone.
The other article, the next one was to appropriate, we probably can reduce this down a little bit to $20,000 from surplus to general government. This is to pay for, we have spent over $8,000 to bring the offices up to ergonomic, as requested by the Department of Labor report. And the audit is $8,000 overdrawn. I'm on the wrong page.
And that was because we had to get the assistance with
Yes.
the balancing.
Yes.
So why don't we deal with those two?
So that's 16.
And I had a question on the legal. We have $5,000 left, and
Yeah.
we have March, April, May, June bills to go, and we're in negotiations.
So 8 is for the ergonomics, 8 is for the audit, and 4 is for legal.
Mhm.
Ergonomic, what was the other?
Well,
That only
yeah,
comes up to 20, 8, 8, and 4.
Yeah, she said
Yes, I said we can reduce
reduce
that to 20.
8,000 for the ergonomics.
Yep.
$8,000 for the audit, because we had to have assistance
Oh,
from
yeah.
the auditors, and 4,000 in legal fees.
And that $8,000 gives leeway to have them come in like we do before town meeting to do an update.
So this ergonomics was something that wasn't anticipated, or what?
Right, it was part of it, they came down and did an audit of the workstations and stuff, and found that we were not in compliance in certain areas. And in order to bring us into compliance, Nancy had to do certain things
They
with the
gave us a
workstation.
list.
Yeah, they
Now,
provide,
3 years ago, when they came in, we were in compliance, but apparently things
We're not
changed
now.
in time. and Department of Labor standards change.
no,
There's not enough money in general government to just move funds around, because you're only 74% expended. You know, things considered, that's.
we're not
when you
quite
can
three
make
quarters of
cuts.
the year.
Three
yet.
quarters of the way.
Right, but I mean, you can make some 20,000 cuts somewhere else. The web, there's nothing posted to the web, you've got 15,000, oh.
No, we don't.
Negative 15,000 in the web.
That's because it got booked in here. and it
Got
should've
booked in
got
here and it
booked
shouldn't have
All
been.
the other accounts.
That's all messed up, we're working on that one.
Yeah, that one is messed up.
So there's 15,000 there. If that's in the wrong spot, you might be able to.
It's already been taken out.
Well, it must have been recently. The report I got stated the 16th, but it's still in there.
You'll have it in
well, the one in the multi-color book is the 18th.
So there's no other place that this money can be found?
Is there anything we can go without for the rest of the year?
Well, we can clean cut everything right off. To make sure we cover.
Yeah, I guess my point is we know we had the chairs, you know, so, and we know we've got an issue with legal fees. So if you take half of the 24 and say, hey, we're really looking for 12 grand out of surplus, because I will tell you
Well,
that.
she's saying only 20. Bring it down to 20, that's all she needs.
Means 8, 8, and
But
4.
if you wanna,
I would sooner think that we could, you know, I'm just a little antsy of whacking surplus, but that's another story, I guess. We took $350 out of it at town meeting.
Now, when you say,
Well-
Nancy, we can whack it, what are you whacking? What are you talking about?
She's just saying shut everything else down.
Like, there'll be no, we'll have to stop.
No more supplies.
No more supplies.
Like a spending freeze, essentially.
I would think, I guess here's my suggestion. We have the ability, within 90 days of the end of the year,
Yeah.
to do this,
Yep.
right? I think if Nancy, in the general government thing, puts some constraints on certain things, that we might be able to balance this out before the end of the
We
year.
have some funds there too.
And
How
then,
come the salaries are so low?
and then we can move some money in the last 3 months too.
That's what Dennis just
I
said.
Yeah.
just said. Well, I'll make a motion that we delete Article 4.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Last article for the fire department for their per diem. Per diem has been covering for vacation, sick time, other, when they're on trainings and out of town, and they would like for $15,000 from the rescue fees to cover.
Where are they with the rescue fees right now?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that one at all.
Yeah, other than it, this is now gonna be the third time I ask. I'd like to see the per diem stuff, and everybody says Matt has it. How does the per diem stuff break out, and where are we relative? I know that the way that Julie does the accounting here, it all goes into one bucket.
Next year it's gonna be broken
Okay,
out, the per
well,
diem's gonna
if
be
we've got
separate.
it- If we've got it on a piece of paper somewhere,
Matt didn't send it
could
when
I
he?
get a copy of it?
Yeah, I thought it was CC'd to you guys, but I'll,
Because if I look at this, I'm saying he's 75% spent on his salaries,
Do you have
and he should be about 75% spent, maybe 72 or 73. I don't have a problem with going through the exercise, but I'm not sure that we couldn't do that anyway. Why do we have to go to a special town meeting to say, oh, by the way, we're gonna take money out?
Yeah.
Unless there's an issue that we can't use any more of the fees than what were allowed at the previous town meeting, then,
When was that
okay,
article
we need a
written?
vote of the people to allow us to use more of the fees.
Those warrant books came in handy, huh? You got
I
it,
had
yeah.
them. I had them on my computer. You see them? There, Michael.
Article that is. EMS and fire.
I guess
Per
if,
diem.
I'd like to see somebody from the department here discussing this.
No, how about I do it?
You've said enough. Mike.
yeah, really.
I mean, if you look at the revenue stream,
What's it, Article 17?
we're 168% collected in revenue stream, so.
Bounce back here.
Looks like per diem was cut 30,000.
And can we apply the same thing as what, the last 90 days here? I mean, it has nothing to do with surplus or anything else.
Well, the only question is, did it give a specific number for rescue billing fees?
Services, revenues, and excess.
It's just per
And the
diem.
only thing that,
Yeah.
I don't care about that.
I understand what you're talking about, but, if you're.
Rescue billing
If they
fees.
had, if they've estimated they're gonna be $15,000 short for the per diem, and
47 for rescue billing fees.
Yeah.
15,000.
you're gonna have to hope that there is some balance,
No,
surplus in the other
I-
accounts to
Based
balance.
on what was written in the article, there was a specific number, 47,000 in rescue billing fees,
Yep.
right? So we need a vote of the people to allow us to go over that usage of rescue billing fees.
to the 215.
Right, I mean, we allowed 47,388, we've collected 126,000. So I don't see that there should be an issue with saying, let's take 15 more. And I understand based on where Matt is with the per diem and some people at different rates and all that stuff. I'd just like to see that from him.
Nancy
It
has it.
wasn't, it wasn't the rates, but
I don't care about the rates. What I want to know is that this is what we budgeted, this is what he's spending on that, because right now it's just lumped together with the rest of the fees, salaries and all of that.
yeah, Lisa keeps a pretty good record on it, so I can just have her send you a copy, email a copy of it.
So,
And there's a specific line that says shall be spent only with town meeting approval.
so I would say, based on that, if you're interested in a motion, I'll make the
Yep.
motion
I'll
to the
second
15
it.
grand.
I'll second it.
I didn't
So
get
we've got
it.
a motion to approve Article 5, recommend
Yes.
Article 5. Gordon seconded it.
To amend it,
Nope, to as read,
okay,
which is to see if the town will appropriate $15,000 from rescue billing fees
okay.
for a fire department per diem for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2011.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Any
this is
discussion?
basically a shuffling of money within
Yeah.
one side of the fire department to the other.
Right, they have money in rescue billing, they've collected very well in rescue billing this year. So to take some of those billing fees and apply it towards per diem staffing, because Matt feels he's gonna run short.
Even with applying the 15, I think they're still exceeded, in their revenues.
What the
Yeah,
revenue is
they've
projected.
received 267% of what was over, because they had budgeted 47,388, and they've collected 126,532.77.
Yeah.
They've collected almost $80,000 more than what they was budgeted.
So they're still,
So all those in favor?
Opposed?
All right, so that was unanimous.
Okay. And then
So
I
that-
will get this finance committee's meeting this week, correct? Thursday? I will forward it. I'll make sure you have a copy of this. Now, we originally had said first Tuesday in April, but do you want to push it out to the 12th? When's the first Tuesday? Calendar.
When is the finance committee meeting?
The second and fourth Thursdays, for now, usually it's
So
just the
you're gonna
second
meet, you're gonna
So-
meet,
The 12th?
Thursday.
right, so they can at least have a recommendation, I guess, so.
It's gonna make my numbers high.
So
You
the
can
30th.
post
Well, I wrote that article up a week ago, so if you've got 3 weeks of me
Like
taking
that,
in
okay.
revenues,
But we're working off from, we're working off from.
well, you're
What
mad at
is
me
the
over
budget?
$1,000, I'm
No,
trying to
working
give you
on
back
We're
$1,000.
working off the budget,
I know,
not
but-
what
They
you
do
spent
that
the
and
other
they
day.
give
well,
you,
we have a
their
problem with
recommendation.
the 68 number.
wait,
But
If
the
it's
60
4 weeks down the road,
The
it's
68
58, right?
No, the 68
okay,
number
so
goes
there's
on
their-
to
Their meeting there.
the 167.
I understand that.
Sign the warrant there and get it posted on.
But wouldn't you like it more if it was 58?
Oh,
And it was
certainly.
only 10 grand out of
Posted on
surplus?
the
Maybe I
30th.
would've gotten 5 votes instead of 3,
Yeah, could be.
no?
7 days prior.
Every day
to the
matters.
code.
So.
If you put it out to that week, then you're gonna have to
That article's gonna
advertise
land
for it.
quite
If you
quite
or
seriously,
someone
man.
else
That
can
article's
plan
gonna
it,
land.
as many as
Or
possible,
we
probably.
could
Yeah.
do,
I'm not gonna
Tomorrow
take
night
in
would be-
$48,000 from the day of that
I'll
article.
send an email. I'm
So-
working 16 hours tomorrow, so I won't be able to
There's
make
a,
it. but
there's
I'll
a
send an email.
process
So
there.
someone,
There's a lag,
if they can.
basically,
Might
you
have
know?
their recommendation.
Town meeting's different
4
because
o'clock.
Make
that's,
sure,
Oh, it's
make sure we keep track of
Well,
what
yeah, excuse me,
you
5
could,
o'clock.
you could have the
It's 5
recommendation by Friday?
The recommendation on these 2 articles, if you can have them written up, give them to Diane, and we'll do it Thursday.
Okay.
It's just two warrants, right? It's just the 2
Yeah.
articles?
I don't think,
yeah, because the first one's a moderator,
Yeah.
so.
so we have a choice. In order to get this posted, if we wanted to do the meeting on April 5th, like we had originally thought about doing, the board could just suspend our meeting tonight instead of adjourning, come back in on Friday to sign the warrant with the Finance Committee's recommendations, and then we could do the special town meeting on the 5th. If not, and we adjourn tonight, then it would be next Tuesday that we would sign it, and we wouldn't be able to have the meeting until the 12th.
And with non-adjourning, then our workshop tomorrow night is actually part of the meeting. Is it not?
Well, I think,
Oh, we could just have a
Even,
special...
even if you push it out to the 12th, that's gonna give you time to get it advertised.
yeah, I think
That's,
it's
that's the thing, rushing it.
time
Yeah.
needed to digest this.
Mhm.
You know, I don't think the pushing it is gonna help.
So the 12th?
Anyway.
The
Another-
12th, I don't want
Well,
to
it
rush the
changes the
judgment.
numbers though, as I said, I mean, I'm gonna take in $5,000-7,000 potentially right in the next couple of weeks, so it kinda skews the numbers. At town meeting in June, we're talking about something that we don't collect on for 3 weeks, so the numbers should be more accurate. If you'd have told me what's gonna happen, Mike, on April 12th, write this article based on April 12th through June 30, I think clearly I would have had to tell you that we're only gonna take in $41,000 instead of 48, and we're only gonna spend 51 instead of 61. I just feel like we're in a phase here where we're trying to be as exact as we can, but I'm again on an I'm estimating again, and I just got bitten, no, I just got chewed on for an hour plus over here over this, after getting chewed on for an hour plus a week ago, and now I'm gonna walk into a meeting in 3 weeks and the numbers aren't gonna be accurate.
I think,
I
Well,
hope we
at some
understand-
point, Mike, you gotta set some figures. You can't keep dancing.
David,
Mike, it's not gonna make a difference.
it makes a difference,
No, it
Nancy,
doesn't,
because
because
everybody's
you're
gonna,
running-
oh, you were wrong again.
Well, we tell you that all the time, Michael. But you're already in the red now.
I understand I'm
I
over
think it was like the
168.
first weekend or the last weekend in February, you're running in the hole.
Right.
All right,
The more
so-
you defend, the more you're gonna get chewed on,
Yeah.
so.
So we're done, we're moving on. Other, I'd entertain a moment,
You weren't at the meeting today, John.
I would entertain a motion to sign warrants for bills and payroll.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor? We do not have the minutes, oh yes, we do have the minutes from 3:15. Motion for the minutes?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Okay, pending decisions, public service announcements, performance bonds, committee self-evals, the week action list. We got Nancy that's gonna get the warrant together and get that off to the finance committee.
I would ask too that we get in touch with road review or the acting road commissioner to look at posting Deering Ridge Road
Been
as far as the
posted.
weight.
Done.
It's been done.
It's been done.
I think Tommy must have posted yesterday, because I noticed Chaborn Ridge Road got posted yesterday
How
too.
about that?
Yeah, we had to order some signs.
Sometimes things happen quicker than you expect.
Well, we had to order signs, we ran out, so.
Okay.
So that's Tiffany. Discussion of agenda items. Next week is a workshop week.
Good.
We will have to vote to sign the FEMA MOU. Ann's going to take care of getting that to us this week. And then we're going to have the workshop with the Transfer Station Committee. Hopefully Pam already told them about that. And that was going to be to look at a policy for having other towns use our transfer station. That would be an across-the-board policy, and what pros and cons of doing that would be. Other than that,
Was the property gonna be, Pam was gonna look into the...
yeah, next week's just a workshop, so
Okay,
it'll get
okay,
put
all
off.
right, all right.
Yep. Reminders, Wednesday, March,
Well,
I'm sorry.
Agenda item, that's
yep,
all.
what'd you have?
An update on the tax collections efforts of Susan Swed's office.
Probably just get that in a memo from Jerry, because he's gonna be going out. So, yeah, get that before he goes. Or he zips. Anything else for the agenda? Dennis, you want us to take some golf Are you out golfing, anything, or?
I gotta,
All right, so
Then
Wednesday, March 23rd, 7 PM, the Land Trust. March 23rd, 5 PM, the Selectmen Budget Workshop here at Town Hall. Thursday, March 24th at 6:30 is the Old Home Days Committee at the Town Hall. Also on the 24th at 7 PM is the Library Trustees and the Finance Committee. Saturday, March 26th, 8:30 is the Cribbage Tournament at Town Hall. Monday, March 28th, 6 PM, is the Transfer Station Recycling Committee, Town Hall Annex. And Tuesday, March 29th at 6 PM, the Selectmen's Meeting Workshop here at the Town Annex.
One other thing to add too, I know you're having a workshop tomorrow night on the budget, but at some point, going to have to sit down and say, this is what it's going to be.
Yep.
Because right now, everything's at a standstill. I can't work on the warrant, I can't, because I'm not really sure. Whatever changes is made is going to have a domino effect right down through it, so. Really got to put the final touches, final on it.
All right.
Because that will help the Finance Committee, because they don't know what your recommendations are. And they had, the budget that they gave, that was submitted to them was a work in progress.
Yep. All right. We haven't it hasn't changed at all since it got sent to the Finance Committee. We were going to look at revenues, and then based on kind of where we are financially now, is there anything we need to look at potentially changing in what we submitted, so. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, good night.